think boundaries was something that in my lifetime I never knew or was taught. And many of us absolutely aren't. Like the day I decided to start therapy and have my own coach was the day that I started to realize certain patterns in my life, what I was attracting, and even with clients, sometimes as women, we think we can't fire clients. We absolutely can, because what I learned was energy is the best currency.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Face It podcast. Today I'm joined by the lovely Victoria from Lashes World by Victoria. So thank you very much for being on the Face It podcast today.
Hi, lovely. Thank you everyone for joining and watching Lydia's amazing podcast. And welcome. I'm ready to get started.
I'm very excited to have you here. I guess we should start by kind of knowing a bit more about you. So if you would be happy to introduce yourself and kind of let us know your story to how you got to where you are today.
Thank you. So it has definitely been a journey that I didn't expect to be on 100%. I think sometimes we don't always know the path that we're going to take. Like, we have a vision and we can manifest and we can write down this, but it can take you in all these like loops and humps, and you end up back to where you started again. But essentially, I always studied like beauty therapy in school, because if I'm honest, when you leave school, you don't have a clue what you actually really want to do. And I'll break it down for you. Obviously 32 years in 20 minutes, but essentially when I left school, I really didn't know what to do. And I think no one does. We have so much pressure from society, from our parents. And my mum always said to me, like, Vic, just do beauty. She was a nail tech at the time, and back then, they were charging like £90 for a set. It was very different to the way it is now. So I just went into the beauty industry, ended up doing a one-day lash course as well, and somehow ended up in the beauty industry. And before I knew it, I was managing 4 clinics, doing being an operations manager with doctors, GMC registered doctors, doing aesthetics every day. Literally running to go and get a little bit of filler here, a little bit of Botox here. I was a bit young and naive as well at the same time, but it was a lot of pressure because I found myself always quite emotionally mature. I always invested in myself. I always read books. I always wanted to become better. And from a beauty therapist role to a reception role, I then grew into the ops manager. So that was like running 4 clinics, very hands-on staff of like 25 members. I was learning from a guy who was a successful millionaire entrepreneur. There were good traits, bad traits. But eventually I found myself outgrowing it in a really weird way. I found myself not essentially arguing, but battling with my manager. And I was like, I didn't like taking orders. And I reached that point where I was literally begging for 50p pay rise. And I was on £14.50 an hour. And I was like, I loved her. I had so much respect for her. She actually told me to begin my lash career because she used to have a beauty brand herself. She just didn't want the commitment of it. Now I do understand that. But essentially, I was like, I couldn't grow anymore. And I knew that I was destined for more somehow. So anyway, I started hustling part-time, doing my lashes on the side in the workplace, giving them a certain commission, literally working from 9 to 9 p.m., right? I literally had hardly no social life. I started working on my days off. I was just all in. I was like, right, I've got to get out of this. And at the time I was sharing a room with my sister. So I definitely have come a long way. And essentially it got very overwhelming for me. If anyone knows what the beauty industry for me, I didn't have the best experience personally. It was a very toxic, egotistical environment, right? Unfortunately, I would like to say that there are many businesses out there that are amazing. And I definitely learned, from that, what to take home with me, the good traits and the bad points, and who I've become today. That definitely helped my journey in business. And one day I decided to just take a leap. I built up enough clients to be able to quit. And it was all very random at the time because it was around the time just before COVID happened. And at that time, I recently connected with my godfather, and he had a spare garage. And he was like, Vic, would you ever consider being on your own? And I was like, oh my God. Oh, I don't know about that. I've never done that before. That's a bit scary. I'm normally in this job, getting this income every month. And at the time I had, I think, £300 outgoings, which is absolutely nothing now. It's like the worth of my car or whatever every month now, you know? And I was like, do you know what? Something's telling me just do it. But you know what? One day I just followed my passion and I ended up taking the leap. And within a couple of months, I will be honest, I jumped very quickly in my career. I was doing people of high status, a lot of celebrities, a lot of influencers, with like over 30 million followers. And at the time, as a young girl, I was very like, oh my God, this is amazing. And we think followers and everything is amazing. And it is, you know, that does take a lot of time and effort into building it. But at that time, I didn't really see someone for like who they was. I just saw it as, oh, I'm a celebrity lash artist. And it kind of become that thing. But I always was very genuine and very honest. And I did treat everyone the same at the same time, which is why I think you can grow in business. I think you have to treat people like that, because if you start putting people on pedestals, you devalue yourself. And that is like a big, big tip that I learned. So anyway, it was amazing. And I learned a lot from a lot of people. I become friends with a lot of the girls. And I grew rapidly. And then obviously COVID hit. So I was like, right, I had no passive income. I was at home sharing a room with my sister. Like I mentioned, in a house of 5, it was just too much. So I was like, what can I do? You know, I need to come out of this. Like I had £2,000 in my bank account. So I just owned it and I just started reading. I started reading The Power, Happy Sexy Millionaire. I don't know if anyone's read that, but Stephen Bartlett, that opened so many different doors for me. I even manifested meeting him in person. So it was really, really great. And I did my teaching degree there. So for anyone in the beauty industry, teaching level 3 and award in teaching is amazing. And it really helped me because when I come out of lockdown, luckily, I got booked up straight away with lash clients. And if I'm honest, I didn't even know how to train. There were so many little loopholes that I had to get accredited. I didn't know how to do that. But before I knew it, I was earning more than I'd ever earned before. And I then left the studio because I was paying about £20 parking a day, which is not financially great. And I found a studio. And at the same time I found a studio, I had enough money to put down a deposit for my own mortgage. And that was honestly within 2 years of starting my lash business. Amazing. And I will be really honest, I had a little vision board. I always was quite visionary. Read the manifest book, did my own little manifestations, didn't really understand it. I just did it. And it was great. It was really, really great. But then something happened. I think for anyone that works in the beauty industry, it takes up a lot of your time and energy. Working with women every day, you also become a therapist, right? And I took a lot of that baggage home with me, unprotected, not really understanding it. I didn't really have a love life, didn't really have a personal life. And yeah, the money was amazing, but I didn't really have time to spend it. And I took myself on a Mexico trip with quite a few people and it gave me an insight of the world and I burnt out. I came back and last year I decided to randomly just stop working. So everyone was like, what do you mean? What are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. I was on like this whole spiritual journey of meditating every day. I was just like, holistic health, and I just completely transformed. And I think what I did learn was self-love, which has become quite popular now. And I just really wanted to take care of me. I just felt like I always put people before myself. I was always looking to fulfill myself in people, looking for it in dating. I decided to just stay celibate, like not date anyone, you know, 30 days, went into 6 months, went into a year. And before I knew it, I was like, I think that I should just do this differently now, you know? And I always had like certain values and certain things in place, but I just realized if I wanted to have a family, have a husband, do these things, we needed to change things. So honestly, I just started taking like accountability for the actions, self-reflecting, and I found myself on just a really deep journey that only I really understood. And there were so many hurdles in between. Now I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Can't believe I did that. Can't believe I did that. But they're all just a part of the journey, you know? And I think what's beautiful is I ended up I saved a lot of money to around £70,000 before I knew it. Wasn't in control of what I spent, but I invested it into myself and courses and knowledge. And now I've reopened. I'm back to being fully booked, but I started working differently because I know that if, let's say, things are out of our control, it's really important that as women we have passive income to help, you know, release that stress of everyone going to work. If you want to have a family, I started really to think out of the box that, yeah, lashes, they do make a significant change in someone's life and feeling, because I know that when I stopped, I was like, get me my lashes back on now, you know, like I can't live without these. And I think it just took me into like a really humble journey of spreading this awareness now with women, for not feeling like we're less than we deserve, that we really do have the power to create our own reality. I started coaching, I started like digital marketing. And I think just spreading that with women and helping them become like the best versions of themselves. We need more tools like this in schools, in beauty industries, in workplaces, on social media. And I think now it is having like a domino effect. And I think where I'm at now is just extracting that. And again, I think self-love is like a forever journey. But I mean, now I just generally am present. I'm not thinking about what I'm going to do tomorrow and that day. Yeah, I goal set, but I'm very much conscious of like the decisions that I'm making, how I want to become in the world, you know, the impact I want to make. And I think when we start working, when we start living in a place of allowing money to work with us and working for it, we start feeling different. And that's when our life changes. So yeah, that was like a quick summary of the journey that I've been on recently. It's definitely been a roller coaster, but I've definitely come out the other end. And, you know, when someone's been in that dark place, you're able to then speak about it openly from a place of compassion and helping other women. And I think it's not spoken enough about, but many people do suffer in silence. And I think it's okay to do that. It doesn't come across like you're weak. It actually is such a strong superpower that women have. And I think the more that we do speak about these things openly and we're able to spread rather than feel that we're in competition, because of course, as women, you get that a lot as well. And I'm just like, I'm on my own journey. I'm just here to spread, you know, your mission is not my mission. And when we just understand that as well, we start working together and clients will gravitate to us, you know. Like this client I had today, I was really like, do I still see new clients or do I just keep my existing clients? And I was like, do you know what? Let me just send out to the universe now, new energy. I love my clients of who they are. Certain clients came back, certain clients didn't. And now I see, you know, you do have to become in alignment with who you want to become and who you want to attract as well. And this client said to me that her lash tech really did something bad to her. And she told me, and I was like, oh my God, that's so awful. Like, I could never do that to someone. So she went, I started researching lash techs in Enfield, which is where I'm based. And she said to me, she come across my page. And funny enough, she asked her sister-in-law, like, do you know any lash techs in Enfield? And she went, I've been trying to get hold of this lash tech, but she's always fully booked. So she sent her a page and it was me. And I was like, well, look at that, you know, like, what are the synchronicities of that? And honestly, things like that just kept happening to me. So when they happen to me like that, I always trust my gut now and I follow like what's meant for me, you know, because I was at a place where I was like, do I open up a shop or do I work from home? Do I follow my passion? And I'm so grateful that I didn't do that now. I work in my own private space. I've got much more free time. I've got free time with my family to grow in different areas of our life. And I think when we do that, we just end up becoming the best version of ourselves, and it does take you in places that you never knew you could be. So I think that is like my mission, to help people come out of that rat race and just to be authentically yourself, not to keep up with anyone, not worry about the likes, because it's about the money that comes in the bank account. And that's just it, to have like blind faith and just keep going. So yeah, I hope that inspires many, and I hope to inspire many more too.
Yeah, no, that was beautiful. And I loved hearing about literally your transition and how ultimately there's so many different phases of our lives in general, but even internally, like we change as people all the time and we adapt and we grow. And it's about understanding ourselves more than anything. And then ultimately, things start getting attracted to us. We don't even have to do the work. We just have these things flow to us, the things that are meant to be there for us and ultimately align with what we do. And I've spoke about that a few times on other podcasts, and about being confident in what you do and ensuring it aligns with you, and not being afraid to, for example, turn certain clients down if they're asking you to do work that you don't agree with and things like that. So even in relation to the industry, it is still about
Yeah.
staying true to yourself and
Yes,
doing
yes.
what works for you, really.
Absolutely. I think boundaries was something that in my lifetime I never knew or was taught. And many of us absolutely aren't. Like the day I decided to start therapy and have my own coach was the day that I started to realize certain patterns in my life what I was attracting, And even with clients, sometimes as women, we think we can't fire clients. We absolutely can, because what I learned was energy is the best currency. And if that is being impacted and, you start working for money, like I mentioned, and you do a client who does drain your energy, and I don't mean that in a bad way, I just mean that as in that they don't really appreciate your worth and X, Y, Z, and they feel like, you're too much or anything like that, then unfortunately that does drain us, because we don't want to feel like we have to change our prices. We have to start working around them, because this becomes then about someone else. And there's a balance, I think there's a really fine line of learning boundaries, but we can learn that in all different areas of our life. But in an industry, 100%, it's about staying in an alignment with what we believe and where we want to go. And that will take us to wherever we're meant to be.
Yeah, definitely. Something else you also said, actually, that really kind of like I noted in my head was about, obviously you mentioned at the very beginning about the industry potentially being quite, maybe even toxic at some points, especially when there's lots of women working together. They're at different ages, they're at different stages in their career. It can feel a bit uncomfortable to be in these spaces, whether that's in salons or online, even over social media. You can still feel some toxic presence at some points in spaces. And I think what you said about, again, staying true to yourself and staying in your own lane, knowing what your goal is. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. What are you trying to do?
100%. And I think it's so important to make sure that what I learned was not to allow my external environment to affect my peace. Because the moment we do that, and as humans, we can let it affect us as a little bit. But at the same time, it was like when I used to work with people of status, let's say, I have all due respect with anyone, someone who has a job that is completely different, right? It was like I sent out an email yesterday, and I'll give you an example. And I was like, right, digital marketing. I was like, Forbes has voted this the best job, like we don't have to do all the groundwork that some of us do. And I got a really bad email back. And it was from a doctor, I won't mention any names, that I used to work with in that industry. And I won't, I'm not here about bullying or whatever. It is just something that is reality of what can happen, And I really helped this woman out personally, financially. And she's a lot older than me. And I always have love and respect. Even if they want to send me darkness, I'm like, I will send healing back, that's the best way to be. And it was calling me names that really wasn't me, And I think what can happen is when you do become on this journey, you can start to have people who resent that and turn it into jealousy and envy. And that is just something that I've learned to deal with, because it isn't nice. When you're trying to tear someone down, you don't know what that person's been with. You don't know what someone's journey is. And I think nobody has a right to put that on you, and say, you can't do this, you have no experience. I just think if anyone's trying to dim someone's light, it's just a reflection of themselves. So just keep pushing through, keep the positive light through. It's okay if you want to have a little cry, you want to just be like, just remember it's a projection of them sometimes. And just to step away from that and know that that isn't okay, remove yourself and keep moving forward. And that's, I think, how you just got to learn to deal with these things, because they can happen. Unfortunately, not everyone has good intentions. Not everyone comes from a good, happy place. And that's okay. Just keep it moving.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's great advice. And especially in the industry of beauty and aesthetics, we meet so many people, whether that's other practitioners or clients. Everyone's doing their own thing. So, try not to internalize everything that's happening around you, and just, focus on what do I enjoy? Like, do I enjoy my job? Do I enjoy doing eyelashes or aesthetics or spray tanning people? I don't know. Do I enjoy it? And do I enjoy the people I'm around? Like I say, whether that's online, or am I appreciating my clients and then they appreciate me back? Because ultimately, that's your life. That's your everyday life. So ultimately, 100%. You want to make sure it's a positive environment, and even within your mindset, are you thinking positively about what you're actually doing?
And genuinely, that's what I started to do. The moment I got a pen and paper, I started watching a self-love coach on YouTube. And do you know what? I'm quite lucky. I found a lot on YouTube. You know, people should use social media and these free platforms because the world has never been like this before. Yes, there is a lot of bad on there, but there is also amazing stuff on there. And when I was in a dark place, it really helped me get out of it. And when you start writing down your thoughts, you know, I realized I was becoming what my thoughts are. So I was like, right, if I have the power to start changing the way I talk to myself and start to change the way people treat me and the way I see myself, that's manifestation. Then I changed my reality. And honestly, that was the life that it changes, you know, just becoming conscious of your thoughts, you know, going on your notes, playing affirmations every day, getting in that alignment of becoming who you are. You have to literally be Delulu sometimes. So honestly, if someone looks at me and they're like, Vic, that's not reality. I'm like, that's your reality. This is my reality and I'm manifesting it. And you have to be like that, you know, even if it's not in front of you, you have to just keep believing in that and it will show up one day. It will, you know, becoming conscious of your thoughts is so important to your daily habit and how it transformed your life. So I think for sure, like I would definitely spread the power of becoming conscious of your thoughts, because when you start writing 10 things that you love about yourself and you realize you've become that, you're like, whoa, I need to change this thought pattern. And that's when the journey begins.
Yeah, definitely. And like you keep saying, it is a journey and these things don't happen overnight. And I think
No,
kind
they
of in
don't.
contrary to what we were just saying, is that
Yeah,
actually on social media and stuff, there are loads of support, I say
yeah,
network pages or people, or like
yeah,
yourself been on YouTube. Like there
yeah,
are so many places that there is support and you can find people to support you in whatever
yeah,
area of the industry you're in. So it's
100%.
about like finding those, gravitating towards them, engaging
Yeah,
with that and being like equally as supportive back. You know, you want to
yeah,
be a good person too. You don't want to be one of these people
yeah,
that we're scared to, you know, put a
yeah,
picture or get advice from or have their
yeah,
opinion given to us, because you know we're looking for that positive and uplifting space, especially in
yeah.
an industry that is very women heavy.
Yes, it's high demand, you know, it's non-stop. You do your lashes, you need them done 2 weeks again. It's like constant, constant. So it's about realigning. And I think meditation, I always wanted to try meditation and I never knew how to do it. I was like, that is not for me. Who the hell can just sit there? That's boring. But trust me, when I started you know, visualizing stuff, that was it. I started going beyond my old emotions and I was like, wow, this feels amazing. I got addicted to it. Then I was having all these mystical experiences and they were like, are you okay? And I was like, yes, I'm amazing, you know? And then I was like, okay, I'm walking down in Enfield smiling. Everyone around me isn't so happy. How do I manage that? And I think for me, it just made me realign, you know? It's really important to make sure we sit down 5 minutes, even if it's in the morning at nighttime, we make that time for ourselves. Because if we aren't in control of just making sure that we sit there for 5 to 10 minutes to 20 minutes a day for ourselves, that means we're putting ourselves last. And if we put ourselves last, well, that's how everyone else will treat us. And I
Yeah,
think we need to start putting ourselves first in order for us to be able to look after everyone else. Because, you know, when we're lying on our deathbed, God forbid, and we can't save ourselves, no one will save us, you know. And I've had a lot of family members that have been in those situations. And I just always want to make sure that positive mindset, a positive outlook on life is always something that will save you
yeah,
in
definitely.
all areas.
Yeah, and I think in this industry as well, you mentioned kind of burnout, and this industry is
Mm.
so busy.
Oh my God.
Like you
Yeah.
say, that's your own business, or whether you're in
Yeah.
a salon, it is constant. So checking in with yourself and just making sure,
Yeah.
am I okay? Have I had enough of sleep? Am I
Yeah.
thinking positively today?
Yeah.
You know, and if not, what can I do about that? You know, maybe I need a day off just to realign with myself and
Yeah.
okay, because this industry, like I say, is busy and we want to
Yes.
avoid burnout. We want to avoid, you
Yes.
know, these big
We
combustions that
do.
potentially happen at some point
Yeah.
in our life.
100%. So I think when I recently started to get to that stage again, and I was like, Rick, realign, what's serving me? I had to change again some little patterns in my daily life. I had to make sure that this day was my self-care day. I had to get back into my meditation routine. I started journaling again. Journaling become like my best friend, because as much as there are so many amazing resources out there, when you do constantly keep up with everyone again, there's so many different opinions. Everyone's got so many different opinions. So for me, journaling and realigning and listening to my intuition found my answers, you know. And then you can align with people who you gravitate to. And I think how to avoid a burnout would be just to, if you have to suck it up and just take off a week and not earn income for a week, then you have to do that. It's necessary. And I think what I learned was, yeah, I was earning amazing money, but I had to stop because one, something told me to. Okay, it was irrational. I've learned from that, won't do that again. But three, it definitely taught me that sometimes we have to listen to our intuition, because now I'm able to teach that to people. Now I can be an example, and now I can help when I do training classes, make sure that my girls, you don't burn out. The money's going to be great. You can get anything you want, but you have to take care of yourself on your own personal life, because we don't want to get to that stage where we've woke up and we're 60 years old and we're like, oh my God, I really should have done that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think definitely daily habits are so essential to becoming the best version of ourselves and who we want to become, and everything that, you know, is destined for us, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's fantastic advice. And I suppose just to end the podcast, really, I'd like to ask you if, or should I say, what would be the key pieces of advice you would give to someone who's just starting out in the industry, whether they're fresh out of school, fresh out of college, or maybe they just wanted a career change at some point? What would you say are the biggest pieces of advice you would give somebody?
Okay, amazing. I got goosebumps when you said that. I was like, oh. So mindset is absolutely everything. I would definitely invest in your mindset and positive entrepreneur life, you know. Follow people who you aspire to be. Unfollow anyone who doesn't serve you. That is just it. Start cutting out the negativity. Getting your mindset strong, because when you are resilient, you do become invincible, and that takes practice. Two, I would say fear. Remove judgment of, you know, judgment from others, worrying about what they think of you, X, Y, Z. Just focusing on your own mission, having confidence, believing in yourself. And then I think just believing in blind faith, keep going, consistency. Consistency is key. I think those three tools just popped in my mind that really helped me and that people need to hear. So I hope that helped.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Your
Thank you, my love.
Advice has gone kind of outside of the realm of just aesthetics, which is so valuable to literally anybody could listen to this podcast episode, no matter what industry they're in, no matter what phase of life they're in. So I really appreciate you not just sharing advice, but also your own experience, which is been really, really lovely to hear. So thank you for being so kind enough to share that with me and all of our.
Thank you so much. Yeah, because I think it appeals to every single woman on this earth, no matter what we do or we label ourselves. It applies to everyone, even men. So I think like it's so essential that we just spread that and take it in, and then the world will become a better place, right?
That is the goal of human race.
Come on.
Thank you again. Did you want to just let us know where we can find you in real life and on social media as well?
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me also. And yes, you can find me I have a personal page where I just promote like general things about life, and which is Victoria's X World. And then my lash business, which is at Lashes World by Victoria on Instagram. And then on TikTok, I've got Victoria's X World. So it's all business, entrepreneur stuff, spirituality, health, lashes, everything and anything I think of, I'm like, right, post.
Amazing. I love that. Well, thank you very much, Victoria, again, for being on the Face It podcast.
Thank you, lovely. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Oh, that was great. Thank you, lovely. That was amazing.
Thank you. You are fantastic and such a breath of fresh air, which is really, really lovely. I've enjoyed it.
I'm glad to hear. It was really lovely to meet you. I love the way you look, by the way. Can I just say?
Oh my God, I've got no makeup on. I haven't washed my hair.
God. But you know what? That is like sometimes the best way. Like I was like, right, I've got to look good today, because I've been wearing makeup like not even a couple of days a week at the minute. And I was like, right, let me quickly just on myself.
Oh no, you look beautiful.
But no, you look amazing.
I think that's how I notice my own transition is like I never ever wear makeup. I always look like this, unfortunately. And I'm just
no, that is fortunate, you know, girl, trust me.
I don't know about that, but I'm very accepting of, you know, some people like my face and others won't, and that is okay. And I feel so much more comfortable now with no makeup.
I love that.
Than when I do. And when I have makeup on, I get really self-conscious and I'm like, oh my God, they're looking at me, and oh my God, is my concealer cracking under my eyes?
Yeah, I feel
weird.
that. Yeah,
it's really weird that I feel more self-conscious with it on than when it's off. Really bizarre.
Do you know what? It is so true though. Sometimes like I have days, I think it's our hormones as well. It's like bloody hell, no one teaches us about hormones, right? So I'm like, right, it's some days we might feel good, some days we might feel bad. I might feel glowing without makeup one day. One day I'm like, oh my God, I feel awful, you know?
And then one day you've got a tan or something. I'm like, oh my God, when I've got a tan, I'm fine.
Yeah, like when you've got a tan, and then one day I'm like, I need to put makeup on today. I just need to feel better, you know? And I think that's just women. It's normal to feel like that. We don't have to put pressure on ourselves. And that's okay. We do whatever we feel, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. And everyone's different. Like some people prefer makeup, others don't. And whichever one doesn't matter as long as it's about how you're feeling. Like, does that make whichever one, do I feel comfortable about that? And then I think that's
exactly. Some days I come and I'm like, clients, I'm so sorry, I'm having a face break today. Excuse me, with no makeup. And they're like, oh, don't worry. I'm like, yeah, I just want to, you know, this is a face break. But I always like to just, you know, because we're women and that's just the industry, isn't it? And it's just humanity. Like, just as humans, we're just like that.
Yeah, and I think every woman is actually in the same boat where like one day we have skin and the other day we don't. So like I never see other women and think, oh, she should put makeup on, because I'm like, no, I feel you.
Because we know the feeling of that, you know. Some days we just don't want anything touching our skin. We might just want to rock up in a tracksuit and, you know, whatever it is. And then some days we might want to wear a blazer. And that's okay, you know. So, but thanks so much for having me. I love what you do and what you represent. It's amazing.
I appreciate that. Vice versa. Like I say, it was so uplifting to speak to you and so different to the other podcasts I've done, like a completely different stance. So I'm very grateful for you sharing all of that with me. So
thank you. That makes me happy. Thank you so much, my love.
Thank you for your time. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. And you.
Thank you. And you. Have a good day.
Bye, honey.
Bye. Bye-bye.